Whether you keep them in your home or love to see them in theirs, these are the creatures that bring us all together.
Reptiles. We're going to be delving into the experiences of reptile lovers from around the block and around the world. This is the Reptile Talk Podcast.
Mario, Luigi, and a Donkey Kong too. 1,000 troops of Koopas couldn't keep me from you. What, you thought I wasn't actually going to do it?
I didn't think you were.
Princess Peach at the end of the line.
Just finish it.
I'll make you mine. Oh, no, I'm just kidding. What's up, everybody? How's it going?
Come on.
I'm
No.
I'm creeping it real.
No, you're going to freaking finish that. Now you blue-balled everybody.
Peach. I love you. There you go. My bad
right,
singing.
perfect.
You're welcome.
Perfect. So for everybody
Hey.
who just joined us, what's up, everybody? This is Jeremy Turgeon from Brassman Reptiles.
And I'm Bowser.
And he's
Just
peaching
kidding.
it real.
Yeah, Nintendo, don't sue me. I'm not Bowser. I'm actually Robin. I'm creeping it real.
Sheesh. So for everybody who doesn't know, when we were backstage and I brought Rob onto the screen, that's what he was singing. And we didn't
Can't
think he
help
was going
it.
to do
It's
it
good.
live, but
It's good.
here we are.
It's the best part of the new Mario movie. I'll just say that.
Okay. I'm here for it. I haven't seen it. I've been in my own bubble, as I often am.
That's okay.
But now I kind of want to see it, but I'm only ever going to envision you singing the song.
Just poorly me, just like
Yeah.
I'll make you mine.
Yeah. This is
Terrible.
perfect. It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect.
don't know
It's a
about
lot
that.
better than eating elephant poo. So we're not going to talk about that today,
No,
though.
I'm not going to talk about that.
That'll be another discussion for not on camera. But
Yeah.
So super stoked. We're back this week, and we're going to talk a little bit about some Morelia for sure. But I think most excitedly, especially for Rob, we're going to talk some scrubs. And if you don't know, if you read the description and you don't know what Apadora is, we're going to talk about wait, let's see if I get the correct Rob pronunciation. Papuan.
No, that's the wrong way to say it. Have you ever heard of Papua? No one's ever been to Papua. They're Papuan pythons.
Papuan pythons.
No! Yeah, I mean, they do be pooing, but they are not Papuan python.
Dude, they be Papuan.
Whatever. People call them Papuans, whatever.
They be Papuan. That's all.
I don't
I'm
care. I
saying.
don't keep them, so.
Oh
But
my
I'm
gosh.
super pumped for our guest tonight. We got TJay Chambers from Serpents, and he works with
Yes.
a lot of really amazing snakes. So let's get him on here.
Hell yeah. Boom.
Yo.
What's up, dude?
Thank you for the beautiful singing, Rob. Set
You're
the tone.
welcome. You're welcome. I did set the tone, and it's
Yeah,
my poor tone.
The tone
it was
is
great
like,
tone.
the tone is like in the piano. There's like the space in between the keys.
That's
the tone
me.
that Rob was. Yeah.
We got
Creeping the
auto
real.
tune, pitch correct for that.
We do have
Oh,
auto tune. Yeah. He was
about to keep
singing
saying it.
like 438, but we're gonna fix it to 440 and it'll be okay.
No one will ever know.
No.
No one will ever know.
Everybody already doesn't know. So it's
Right? Yeah, you're always already speaking gibberish.
Is it
Dude,
440 grams? What's he talking about?
I don't even weigh my snakes.
I do not weigh my snakes.
Nah.
I don't either.
You don't need to.
Yeah.
You don't need to. Not really.
Oh my
So,
God.
dude, how you
You're
doing
guessing
tonight?
it's already.
I'm doing great. I just got home from work a little bit ago. Had a chance to check in with the wife and the puppies. Came in, set up this, and ready to talk some snakes.
Hell yeah. On my
Hell
way
yeah.
home, I was playing some Pokemon Go and I caught some Kabutos, and I'm super pumped about it because
That's why you came singing.
That is why I was like riding the high from like Nintendo. I was like Pokemon, Mario, it's going. Me and Kristen went and saw the Mario movie the other day, and we've just had that Peaches song stuck in our head for the entire time, and so now it's stuck in my head and it won't leave. So I just sing it all the time.
Now I want to see it.
Just watch the music video of Jack Black playing piano and singing it. It's the best part of the movie.
Hell yeah.
Shout out to Jack Black.
Yes,
Being awesome.
but getting back to snakes, how do you pronounce Apadora? How do you say their common name, huh? Do you call them Papuans or you call them Papuans?
Papuans.
Papuans. Okay, cool.
Take giant poo-poos in their
In their enclosures, yeah. For real.
yeah.
They call that the Papua. That's the
That's
Papua.
the
If that's the case, then Bolins should have been called Papuas because they be pooing too much.
So true.
Too much, almost.
So true. Oh
yeah,
my
Papuan
gosh.
pythons. I always
yeah.
just refer to them as Apadora.
Mhm.
I never refer to them as the Papuan olive python.
Yeah.
I'm firm against calling them olive pythons. If you call them poo-pooins, that's okay. They're not olive pythons.
I think it's so funny that like there's like this whole like original storyline of them. Yeah, they're olive pythons. They're just like the Indonesian olive pythons. Like, bro, those things don't even look close to the
not
olive
even
pythons
close.
in
Not even close.
Not even
Australia. They're not even close. I just
but they-
remember seeing pictures of one in a book that I had when I was younger, and I was like, what the heck? Its head is round, like it doesn't look like a snake head. It's like got a turtle head or
Bulldog.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's originally like what turned me on to them was just that big blocky head. It almost had like the Bolins type of look to it, where it's real meaty. That's kind of what draws me to all the snakes that I work with originally, was like the body structure and the head shape of pythons and boas and stuff. And that's kind of what like kept me in them, is I just like that body structure. It just looks mean. It looks metal. So
Yeah, metal as fuck, man.
right there, it doesn't get much more metal than a scrub python, in my opinion.
For real.
True.
Just teeth flying everywhere and big
Pee
head
flying
scales,
everywhere.
and yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
God.
You know, it's just metal. It's
Yeah.
just metal. I think that carpet pythons really like the first, like when I first learned about carpet pythons, I wasn't super into them, and then when I saw a couple adults, I was like, okay, I kind of get why people like them, because they got those big head muscles, and it does give this like, you know, cool metal kind of look to them. And then
Right.
scrubs, I don't know, I like the contrast on scrubs more, so like I don't know, some scrubs have that big head and some just don't. Like I've seen a lot of people who have
True.
scrubs that just don't have big heads, and then all of a sudden you see a couple and it's like, whoa, man, that thing's got a massive freaking head on it.
Yeah, I have a trio of like patternless highlands, I guess is kind of what I just like gold patternless animals. And I've got 2.1, and the female has a real thick head, and the males have like a real narrow head, but one of the males is far more narrow than the other. And so even like my bar necks, their two head shapes are pretty different between the male and the female. But yeah, you get a wide range of head shapes within scrubs, and especially once you start getting into like multiple, like the different species and stuff like that.
I'm just seriously waiting for them to break them all into different species, because the fact that Southerns and Barnecks are the same species and
Right.
the Wamina type are the same species is stupid. They're not even close.
If
there's nothing
chondros-
close about them, yeah.
If chondros looking, I mean, I'm not going to say that chondros look similar, but to the untrained eye,
They all look the same, damn it.
they're pretty damn close. Like,
yeah.
like a skilled keeper can look at the different locales, be like,
Yes.
that's a Biak or Roo, whatever it may be. Scrub pythons, the most untrained eye can look at a southern and barneck and be like, oh, those are super different.
Those are super different. There's no way those are the same thing. Not even close.
And so, and then what's strange too is like the like you said, the Wamina locality, how they have apparently like an 800-mile range along the northern coast up by the Bird's Head Peninsula, and they kind of dip into other barneck ranges, apparently,
Yep.
like the Jayas and stuff
Yep.
like that. And so I think that's where a lot of that confusion between Jayas and Waminas, because I think it's a possibility that both of the animals can come from the same spot.
Yep.
And so that'd be a huge indicator that it's not locality specific, it's more species specific.
Species.
If it was locality, I would think that all the ones in that locale would be looking
That
like
specific
that.
species. Yep.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
so,
exactly. I was looking on iNaturalist, and there's like a Halmahera sighting way out in Maluku, and you're like, but it's a Halmahera python, like it's Halmahera. I think that
nope,
naming
Moluccan
them-
python now.
yeah, it's now it's looking. It's like I think that naming them by locality definitely did a disservice to some of that stuff, because for the last several years, the Waminas have been coming in as Jayapuras, so they've been exported out of Jayapura, but it's very clearly a Wamina type animal. And if they had just named it after some dude, oh, this is the John scrub python, there wouldn't be confusion. But because the first ones came out of Wamina, they're like, oh, these are Wamina scrubs, and now they're coming out of Jayapura, labeled as Jayapuras when they're not. They're actually that Wamina species.
Yeah, and I remember Ryan Young posted in the Scrub page a while back, a couple years ago, on a picture from a book that the Barkers had posted of a Wamina looking animal that they took the picture in Jayapura, and that was kind of what made everyone be like, oh, wait a second, that animal came from Jaya, so we may have screwed up here. But I honestly think that everything that's in the country right now and probably will be coming in via the normal paths of like importers, exporters who bring them in. I will never know any of that stuff unless we get someone to go there, do the groundwork, and bring specific animals back. I think it's going to be totally random, and we're kind of taking our best shot at guessing what is what.
Yeah, but if somebody does want to get published and be able to name a scrub python species after themselves, they can just go there, start collecting stuff, and be like, okay, these guys got it wrong. This is not a Wamina scrub python. This is actually a Rob's scrub python.
Yep.
So
Somalia robberi.
Yeah, I like that. I'd call it that. Apparently, Nick is doing some kind of work with some other people, because I was the guy that was for a while in the scrub groups posting my Waminas as Wamina Jaya types. And I did that because I saw like Ryan Young do it, and I figure he's probably the most authority on them in our country. And so I started calling him that, and then I got a bunch of people kind of coming at me like, dude, Wamina and Jayas are two totally different things. And then it started up a big conversation in the Scrub page, and then Nick hit me up in a DM and was like, we're working on it. I'm not going to say much more, but there's been like a few years of work that they've been doing to kind of reclassify things. And he said it's going to be much simpler going forward. He says it's kind of been overcomplicated with all the people just calling things whatever they want. I have no idea. I don't know if he necessarily wants people to be talking about. He did say in a DM. So, but I'll something is being done about it. So because I know Daniel Natush has also tons of sample work from the field when that he's talked about, and he knows the information that we're looking for. I think he's waiting for the right avenues to disperse it and doing it all. I think he's doing it with Nick. I think it sounds like, because he's got the biggest sample size for wild caught stuff.
Finally, because the fact that half of this stuff is just Similia amethystina is hurting my soul in the worst kind of way.
Yeah. And I think it's making people that have two, like, let's say all of, so I guess, do you have hopes of them being like, this is this localities look like this and this and this, or are you hoping like Barnecks are this species? And
I'm hoping Barnecks, and then different localities of Barnecks are their own thing. They're, because if you look at look at California king snakes, there's California king snakes, and then there's also California king snakes that are found in, neighboring states as well.
Arizona, we've got them here.
Exactly. It's just the Arizona locality because they're not looking at a map and being like, oh, I can only go right here.
Yeah, whoop, I can't slither past that rock.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like it's kind of the same way. But if you kind of look at like the map in the area where barnecks generally hang out, it's kind of, at least the looks that you're getting from specific animals are generally, to me, just looking at like iNaturalist and looking at wild, like pictures of people post in the wild and stuff of them, you can kind of get a general look. Like if you look at sarong barnecks and Jaipura barnecks, they're kind of on that same, curvature of the earth, and they have a very similar look, where you get the sarongs have a little bit more pattern and the Jaipuras have a little bit more reduced pattern. And then if you look at ones that are like a little bit further south, they have even more reduced pattern. Right. And
that's what they were calling like Manoquaris type look. Okay.
Yeah. And I to me, it would make sense to be like, okay, because like if you look at a barneck, you go, oh, that's a barneck. It's like looking at a African rock python. You go, okay, that's an African rock python. And then you see like a Sri Lankan python. You're like, oh, I can see how that kind of looks a little bit similar, but that's not the same thing. And then you look at a berm and you're like, I see how that kind of looks similar, but it's not the same thing. If they can have like, the difference to me, like looking at barnecks to highlands to southerns, is like looking at like the different kinds of garter snakes. You got like eastern garter snakes, you got checkered garter snakes, you got San Francisco garter snakes, California garter snakes. You can all tell that they're all the same kind of thing. They fill kind of the same niche, but they're not the same thing. Like they're not even close to being the same thing.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And I feel like it has to be something like that. Yeah. We just haven't done the work yet, unfortunately. So we're kind of stuck in this spot in the hobby where so many people have animals and stuff, and people are kind of like unsure. And it might question them pairing them at all. Because I remember back in the day, there was this Kofiau female that just got like shuffled around like 10 different collections. And I guess backtracking a little bit, what got me started in scrub pythons was I met Evan Arumble. He goes by Dr. Arroyo on Instagram. He's an amazing field herper, and that's his niche now. He goes all over the world field herping. But he's in Arizona. He at one point bought out David Mean's scrub collection and David Prada's scrub collection when they were getting out in like the 2012 time. And he had two animals that really made me kind of question the locality thing, because they were clutch mates and they looked so different from one another. And one of them was the snake Rain. I'm sure you guys have heard people talk about Rain.
Oh yeah, Stephen Cush has some babies from Rain.
I got to work with Rain, and that was like, he was named perfectly. I think David Means named him that because he found a way to rein and control any situation that he was in. And that snake legit could do that. He could outsmart you and just put you in a corner in the room where you're like, fuck,
oh crap,
I'm about to get bit by this. And he was huge. Like he was, I think he was about 15 feet. And
he
then
looked like he was easy 12, 13 minimum. Yeah, from the pictures. And that was the old pictures.
His clutch mate, her name was Ascadelia, and she was even bigger. And I think the Barkers produced them and basically wanted to see how big they could get them. And Rain did produce, like, he sired a few clutches, I think. But I don't think that female ever did. And so I think it kind of goes to say, like, yeah, the giant females are probably not going to be good. Nope. But going back to Evan had that Kofiau female that at one point was in, I want to say, Eric Burke's collection, David Means collection, Owen's collection. And so this one Kofiau female bounced around for like probably 10 years. And I think that I think she might be back with Stephen Cush now. Or I think that might be the one that David produced that Kofiau clutch from. He had that giant male, and then he had a little bit smaller female. I think that was the same female. And so I think it would be interesting to learn if she's not really a Kofiau and just a variation of a barneck, because Stephen Cush and his clutch produced a very Kofiau looking animal.
Mhm.
And so it seems like with this whole locality thing and people calling things what they were labeled as when they came in, it might put animals that very well could have just been a sarong barneck, because Rain and his clutch mate, Rain looked like a Manokwari, like really reduced on the like crazy pattern like sarongs have, like with that more boldness, and it was just like bands, just black bands, and kind of more traditional to a Manokwari, but they were calling them Jayas, I think, back then. And so it was just a huge mixed up thing, and people were really unsure, but it put people in a position of like having animals sit for 10 years or so because they can't find. And I think that if we could figure out this whole species thing, because then it would be essentially like how people are breeding carpet pipe or jungle carpets, where so you got Andrew Paris or whoever is breeding like different lines of jungles. They're mixing localities, but they're kind of keeping them as jungles kind of thing. And so I think that if we were, you might be making locality crosses, but if we know we're keeping them within the same species, I think that would be less of a big deal, because it'd be like we have no locality data on any jungles other than like gelatins and like Palmerstons, but people still have like VPI jungles and like really nice black and yellow jungles from not locality that they breed into those projects. And there's some people that might look down on that, but it's like you are keeping it a pure animal, quote unquote. You're not making a hybrid or anything. But within the scrub world, you are probably making hybrids with a lot of stuff, or you might not be. I don't know. It's a big confusing thing. So
yeah. After the information came out about the green tree pythons and how like most of them, there's like the group of like the Azuri stuff, and there's like the Biox and all that sort of stuff. It kind of parallels to me the scrubs, because like with the Azuri stuff, it's like, this one locale and this locale are probably the same species,
right.
Genetically. It kind of makes sense that, if you look at barnecks from here, they're all barnecks. You can all tell that they're all barnecks. And you look at highlands, and there's phenotypic variation that you can go, okay, that's, you put a highland next to a Moluccan next to a barneck, you go, okay, those are three different snakes.
Yeah.
And with green trees, even with them being so much closer looking, you can still look at, an Aru versus a Biak and be like, oh yeah, those are very different things. Even though they look kind of similar, it's still very different.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I think that with we just don't have enough captive breeding of scrubs to really dig into that, because in my clutch I saw a decent amount of variation too. I got some that have like lots and lots of pattern, and then some that have like hardly any pattern, and the dad is got more of a reduced pattern, and then Janet's got like tons of pattern. So and he is a sarong, she is a sarong, like straight is. So
right. And you're still throwing a bunch of variation.
Still throwing a lot of variation, even though they are the same locale, So it we won't know until we know, And I feel like back in the day, bloods and shorttails were kind of looked at very similarly, because they were subspecies. You had Curtis Brongersmai, Brayton Steiny, and Curtis, and people were like, those are the same thing. And you're like, one comes from this island and the other two come from that island. What are you talking about? These ones are kind of separated by a mountain range. What are you talking about? And then it's like, they finally got their recognition. They finally got elevated to a species level where you go, duh, their scalation is different. Their reproduction is different. Their look is different. It is a different animal. I don't know. It blows my mind that people are like, oh, they're like the same thing. And if you look at like fish, people are like, oh, no. This fish that looks identical to this fish is actually a different fish. And we're like,
right.
We're looking at things that look nothing the same. We're like, oh yeah, that's the same.
That's
Right. Apparently, I heard. I think Nick was talking on a podcast on how they will reclassify birds into the different subspecies based on what songs they sing, even if they're like in the same valley. This guy over here sings a different tune. Man, get him out of here! Like it's
Different
so weird.
species, yep.
But we are we'll hold on to Southerns are in Barnecks and Highlands are all
No,
right.
never.
I think right now most of the scrub community is probably on board with their different things. Some people are just going to be a little more okay with like crossing, making hybrids, crossing localities and stuff. And I mean, with that stuff, it's not what I plan on doing, right? Like maybe down the road, if I get two crazy looking scrubs that I've produced that I want to cross, I might do that, but it's not what I'm shooting for my like initial breedings. I just want to get some more locality stuff out there and do that before I start working on any crazy weird stuff.
Yeah, for real. And I think that with the, just scrubs in general, just being tougher to breed until we really crack that open and we see more people having success with stuff. It is better to just focus on, trying to get as close as you can get to your pure stuff.
Right.
Just,
Yeah,
Go ahead, Jeremy.
It just seems like there's so much variation. So obviously I don't keep scrubs. I just stare at Rob's. But but like when I went to Stephen Cush's place and he was showing me that Barnett clutch, the variation between those babies was insane. He was like, he's like, oh, you think that one's cool? Now look at this one. And it was like almost the opposite looking animal. So to see that much polygenetic variation existing just in that one clutch, I can't imagine trying to be able to identify anything like that, especially then if you're thinking mixing localities or anything like that. Like you open up an entirely different can of worms. It's like I'm with you guys, like just breed it as pure as you possibly can and really understand what those phenotypic differences are within each locality, so it gives you a better understanding of what you're looking at. And again, as you were just saying, like that just comes with more time of breeding and really cracking that code to see what it is all going to look like.
Right. And I've also heard from some green tree python breeders that, so like in the early days, like a lot of the stock that we work with is like the designer stock when it comes to captive born and bred, because that's kind of like all those guys had to work with. And it seems like the consensus is starting to be that that's why our green tree pythons die full term in the egg and don't do very well. Is because we're making like hybrids essentially, because they had no idea that they were multiple species they were crossing. They were just like, yo, these are breeding, thank God they're not dead. Like they just wanted to make some more, not have them all die. And but now
fair. Also fair.
Yeah, it's like, cool, you brought them in, you got them to live, they passed on the bloodline. I'm glad they did what they did, is like great. Like it taught us a lot. They laid the groundwork. But it sounds like, and I'm basing this off of what I've heard people say, like I heard Vin Russo talking about how he just is starting to get more back into green tree pythons after they did all the like the classification, because he's like, oh, I was trying to cross a bunch of stuff back then, let me get like a pair of Arus or whatever and stick with locality stuff. And he's like, I have way better success, and it's probably because generally those animals would never meet in the wild. Maybe they're breeding because if I feel like there's got to be different breeding activities within, even if you're just a different subspecies. It could just be like a different time of year. They eat different things to get them queued up to breeding. So if you had two things that were just kind of like not really lining up together, of course it's going to be difficult trying to make that happen.
Just think about pheromones, man. If the female's giving off pheromones for her own species, most males are not going to catch on to that unless they're of that same species.
Right. It's not designed to work.
it's not designed to work. And I think it's funny because all the people who love hybrids are like, no, they're completely perfectly viable because I'm going to try and sell you a hybrid after I produce them. And it's like, you talk to anyone who's not financially incentivized to make hybrids, you're like, actually, I've seen a lot of hybrids just not thrive or die in the egg or not. It doesn't work like 99% of the time. And people are like, well, what about corn snakes? And I'm like, yeah, those things are probably really closely related. So like, yeah, it kind of makes sense that it would probably be like that. But like, you think about, when I think about like green tree pythons and stuff, you just think about the different factors that go into like the Beox to make them huge compared to your Arus and your or your compared to your Sarongs and your Jayapuras, which are like these little tiny dainty fucking snakes. And one of the other things that I had heard about the green tree python designer stuff too is that a lot of it was like very tightly inbred because they were trying to produce albinos. They're like, we got them to breed. Now let's try and get albinos, and we're just going to breed real close because the gene's in there someplace. And so when that's how all the branches of the different, or I'm going to say allegedly, so that the Python people don't jump down my.
We're going to get a lot of DMs now.
I don't give a shit, man. Just because you're rich doesn't mean that you have got anything on me. So
submit all complaints to @RobIsCreepingItReal on
absolutely. I'll take all of them. I'll take all the complaints because apparently I'm being too woke right now.
Woke.
So basically they were trying to breed for albinos, and that's where like the mite phase stuff came out, and this line and the calico and blah blah blah, blah was byproduct of them trying to get albinos. But in trying to do that, they were trying to breed super tight and close together after they made their initial crosses. And so that, from several people who I've spoken to who have dumped lots and lots and lots of money into green tree pythons that never produce for them or produce non-viable eggs or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It makes sense to me why that would just not work like that. And that's not to say there aren't great designer lines out there that do reproduce. But I do know a lot of people who have not had great success with that sort of stuff. And so, it tracks for me like that. It just makes sense to me.
Right.
When it comes down to that sort of thing.
I agree. Cause the people that are saying this are people that have been trying to breed green tree pythons for a long time and they've been around the block with it. And like you said, spent probably tons of money on designer stuff to now be like getting locality Beox.
For real. And if we had just focused on line breeding some Beox to make some cool looking Beox, maybe we wouldn't be having this mess.
Yeah.
Oh, look, albino.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I know that it's been mentioned that like a morph would be like the worst thing to happen to scrub pythons, but I just don't. There are morphs and scrub pythons. I still don't think it's like the people that chase the morph game or you think a ball python breeder is going to come in, get some scrubs, and start pumping out scrub pythons.
No, it's just not feasible, one. And then two, they don't fit the mold of something that is financially viable for a morph, because you want something that has a quick 6 to 8 years old time to breed too. Yeah, exactly. It's got to be at least 5-year-old females to breed. No one's sitting around and waiting 5 years old for a female to breed. If you power feed them, they get big and die. They're not having giant clutches, so it's just not I don't see it as something that would negatively impact the scrub community. And I think it's funny because some people have seen like the albino, there's a T positive albino Barneck, and then the Halmahera, and they're like, it sucks. And I'm like, it's kind of cool. Like I still like the normals better. Yeah, I still like.
I love unique animals. I love one. That's why I was so like hatching out the Paradox albino Darwin.
Yeah,
I was almost shaking looking at that thing just because I know that thing could probably reproduce as a normal, and I'm totally cool with that because I have like such an awesome looking snake for the rest of its life. I've been drooling over like Paul Harris's Paradox and whatnot for years, and so the fact that I just popped one out it was so cool to me. So like
I'm envious.
Big congrats, dude. Big
Thank you.
congrats
Hell
for
yeah, dude.
real.
So I would
Dude.
love to have like a weird scrub morph. I mean, there's tons of Xanthic stuff out there, and they seem to just throw out morphs randomly. Like if we were talking ball pythons, patternless scrub is a morph, and striped scrub is a morph, and so we've got morphs, and I think that no one's really chasing that. Like they might end up with an Xanthic, like Moluccan, and breed it to a normal just because that's what they had. Like if you get an Xanthic, that's probably what you're gonna get. You don't have the like opportunity to be like, nah, I don't want a morph. Like I just want a normal. If one pops up at a shop somewhere, you're gonna buy that scrub. So
Dan Malari just imported some Moluccans and some other stuff too. So people
that's
who
a
are
good
looking
sign.
for Moluccans.
That's good.
So Rob, how many are coming to North Carolina?
None. I do not have Moluccan money. I'll just say that straight up front. I do not have any money, because if I did, I would be getting 4 of them.
Is that like the thing at the top of your list for like new acquisitions, you think?
Moluccans, that's one of the few scrubs I don't have, so that would be cool. I just like the way that they look, and I have not worked with them, so I think that it would be cool to get some of those. This upcoming season I'm going to try and do the Tracy Eye.
Oh hell yeah.
And just hope for the best with that. And then this upcoming, like next spring, I'll be probably trying to do Janet again, so I'll have more pure Sarong Barnecks, and maybe I'll let some of those go. But like the thing for me with scrubs is that I just really, really love them. If I don't ever breed scrubs again, I really don't give a shit. Like I would like to breed scrubs, not really for me, but just to be able to have more of them in the hobby, so people don't have to just go out and buy wild caught stuff, because I think that people just have better success and you can have better trust with an animal that's captive bred. And that's the thing that I like appreciate most, like going into the scrub python groups, is like when you see people with new ball pythons, you see people who are like, oh, I just got this 6 gene snake and I can't wait to breed it because it's not good enough. The babies are going to be cool. And it's like, why don't you just like that fucking snake, man? Like, what the fuck? But you go to the scrub python group and the people are like, man, I just got this scrub. I've been reading up about them. It's so interesting to watch it, the way that it behaves. And then like 6 months later, they're like, I've been working with like gaining trust with it. And it still is a little bit flighty, but it's starting to like really gain trust, and they're building a relationship with that animal. And to me, it just looks like those people really appreciate that animal for what it is. And I like that way more. And like that does something for me, because like, every time that I take out one of my scrubs, my girlfriend's here and she'll be like, oh, one of the scrubs is right at the door. Why don't you take it out? And I'll take him out. And every single time that I hold a scrub python, I always have to say, I just fucking love these snakes. These are just the coolest snakes on the planet. Like literally, can confirm anytime that I hold one, I'm like, these are just the coolest snakes. Like, I just love these things. They're absolutely incredible. Like every time that I touch one, I'm like, this is amazing. And so like in wanting to get Moluccan scrub pythons, I just want to be able to like just bask in their fucking glory and just like appreciate them. I don't like, if I don't breed them, it's not going to really break my heart. I just really want to, be able to have some interactions with them and to appreciate them and just grow them. I think they're awesome. And like no shade to any of the other snakes that I keep, but scrubs are just so freaking different to me. It is on a different plane. It's on a different level. When I'm working with them, my different parts of my brain are working, watching them, reading their body language. And for me, I don't think that anything else touches that. Like besides working with venomous stuff, like scrubs are just like the pinnacle for me. And since I was really small, when I was a kid, when we first got the internet at my house back in ancient history, when you had to
get off the phone.
Yeah, exactly. At those days, I looked up
In
a
the
picture
90s.
of a bar neck scrub python, and I'm pretty sure it was one of the pictures from VPI. And I printed it out, it was a big ordeal. I had to have my mom print it out at her work, and cut out the picture. And I would just stare at that, and I'm like, man, that is the coolest snake out there. It really just makes my brain tingle in all the right spots. And I was like, I want one of those so bad, but I know that they get big, and when I get one, I'm not getting rid of it. I don't care what happens in my life. I'm not getting rid of my scrub python because that is like my pinnacle animal. And so I had lots of opportunities when I was like 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, going to expos and seeing people with, wild caught scrubs. And this was back when scrub pythons were $300. I remember seeing Moluccan scrub pythons, big Moluccan scrub pythons. Jeremy, Regal Reptiles had a big Moluccan scrub python on their table in a locked snap container.
Yeah.
And they wanted $400 for it, and they could not sell it because it was a scrub python.
Yeah,
and I remember looking at that stuff. Yeah. And I remember I went to Hamburg, and I was just drooling over this small captive born barneck scrub python at this guy's table. And I went around the show and came back, and around the show and came back. And I just stared at this scrub, and I was like, oh my God, this is the most incredible thing. And I think I was like maybe 22 at the time. And the guy behind the table was like $400 or $350 or something. And he was like, I'll give it to you for $150. And I was like, I was still living at home with my parents. And I was like, I cannot get the snake, because if something happens weird, with my family, or when I move out of my house, I don't want to get rid of a scrub. I'm not going to do that. If I have to get rid of, Borneos or ball pythons or anything else I was keeping, I was like, I will make do. But when I get my scrub, I'm not getting rid of it. I'm not. It's not going to happen. And so I waited and waited and waited and waited until the opportunity to get Janet came up. And I don't know if you know this story, TJ.
I don't think I do.
But Andy, who's one of the guys who used to manage Nerd, he knew me because I used to just go up there and just volunteer and just like show up and be like, hey, make me clean things. I want to learn about snakes. And they would just be like, here, go with this guy, clean retics, clean, not first. I was cleaning ball pythons. And then after they knew I knew what I was doing, then they were like, okay, go clean retics, go do monitors, blah, blah, blah. But so I, connected with Andy, and Andy, when he got Janet's clutch in, he got a whole clutch of captive bred Prada line barneck scrub pythons. And he knew that like scrubs were the top of my list. And so he called me, which was weird because he doesn't really call me. He called me and he was like, hey, you got to come down to Nerd like now, like today. And I was like, I don't think I had work. I was like, I don't think I can like come down today. He's like, you need to come down the next available moment that you have, whenever that is. It needs to be this week though. Get your ass down here as soon as possible. And I was like, okay, what is it? He's like, just get here. Click. I was like, okay. Andy says I need to get down there, so I need to get down there.
I gotta go.
I think it's like 2 days later or something. I end up going down there, and I go upstairs, and he's in the office. I go into the office. I'm like, hey, what's up, man? Like, it was very cryptic that you told me to just come down here. He's like, go into the hallway, go to the baby rack, and go to the bottom. Look what's in there. And so I go down the hallway. I pull out a tub, and it's dark in the hallway. And I open up the tub, and there's this long snake in there. And I was like, what the hell is this? And then I take it over to one of the doors where the light's coming through. And I look down, and I see the little bars on the back of the neck. And I was like, dude, are you kidding me? You got baby barnecks? He's like, yeah, we got a whole clutch of baby barnecks. And I'm like, oh my God, dude. And I'm like losing my mind. I was like, no way. And I was like, dude, they're going to be too expensive. I'm not going to be able. He's like, I'll hook you up, dude. You gotta get one. I already picked out the 3 that I'm getting. So you got to get one. I know that you've been waiting. This is your moment. You got to get one. And so I just went through and like picked through all of them, and I took them out and got bit 500 times. And there's only 2 that didn't bite me when I went in there the first time. So I had set them off to the side, 2 girls, because I knew that I specifically wanted a female. And so I set the 2 off to the side. And when I was done getting bit by all the rest of them, I went back to those 2, and I took one out, and she's sitting just chill, just mellow right on my hand, small baby barneck. And then I go to the other one, and I pick up the other one, and it's chilling, whatever. And I'm like looking at it, I'm like, I like the pattern on this one. And then the one that was in my right hand struck at the one in my left hand. I was like, okay, not you. This is over here. And that's how I picked out Janet. And literally that's how it happened. And I have not let her go. And she's just been like, I remember just holding her in my hands and just being like, dude, this is the most incredible snake ever. And just like seeing her go from that little tiny snake to now she's over
sitting on
long.
She sat on a clutch of eggs for you.
Yeah, on a clutch of eggs. Like, let me tell you, when I took a peek underneath that hide and saw her wrapped around eggs and she was pushing out more, I was like, oh my god, dude, this is
that same Rob that saw her that first day came back out.
Literally screaming back.
I remember getting the videos. I'm like, I'm responding. I'm like, I don't keep scrubs, but I knew the level of excitement. I just remember responding like, dude.
Yeah.
If you know a scrub guy, you know their excitement.
Yeah, exactly.
For real. And it was just like, that excitement. And then I didn't tell anyone that she had laid until. That's true. Well, no, I didn't tell anyone. I told Jeremy, and like there was a couple people at Daytona who like I showed a picture. I was like, hey, I got some eggs. But like I didn't post it anywhere until babies hatched out. And it was just like, for me, just having that and just like really just taking all that in was just like, oh, it was so good. It's just scrubs just do that for me. And I don't even remember why I went on that tangent, but like
because you love scrubs.
Yeah.
Well,
because
that's why we're here.
I don't really need to breed them. I just appreciate them. And so, like I said, if I don't ever breed them again, hey, that it is what it is.
I feel like that's probably not very likely that you won't breed scrubs.
Yeah, I know. I just
same.
What I'm saying is that my joy from them is not coming out of a possible future of reproducing them and seeing what the offspring look like. I just appreciate them for what they are. And when I walk into my room and I see my Southerns perched up on their perches, and I just go there and just stare at them. I'm like, oh man, you're so cool. You're so cool. And like Southerns are fairly easy to breed. There's a bunch of people who have bred Southerns, and it doesn't make it any less cool to me. I just
right. Yeah. I think that like scrubs used to have that thing where so few people had bred them that it was almost like that competition type snake. Like, I'm going to try to do it. And some of those people came in and then their Halmaheras died and they're like, okay, screw this. And then they got back into something else. But then there's the people that, regardless of like lack of success, they're going to stick with the scrubs. It's because the reasons why what you're talking about right now. I mean, anyone who has that passion for scrubs has felt that feeling that they do it for you. And like, so I have a kind of funny story on how I got into scrubs.
Yes.
So my first scrub was like a giant, like 10+ foot Southern that was super mean. And the way that I got is at the point, I think I was 19 and I had like brettles and some carpets and white-lip pythons, and I was making my own enclosures, and whenever I would upgrade a cage, I would sell the old one on Craigslist. And I had one post on Craigslist and someone's like, hey, I have a scrub python, I'll trade you for that. And I was asking, I think like $250 for the cage, and I had never really heard of scrub pythons. And I went on King Snake. I was like, what the hell is a scrub python? And I saw him going for like $350, right around that range. I was like, okay, well, I mean, if I don't like the snake, then I can sell it and get more than what I was looking for the cage. Yeah, so that seems like a good deal to me. So I go to the guy's house and I get there, and this 10-foot scrub python is in a 40-gallon breeder screen top.
Oh no!
And its face is scarred and bloody,
butchered.
And I walked in, and the snake was like staring up at the screen like it had just been biting at it. And he was like, yeah, man, I throw a lot of parties over here, and this snake will just sit here and bash its face against the lid. And my heart was just like sinking. And I didn't know how big this snake was. And I brought like what would be equivalent of maybe like a 15-quart tub.
Oh my God.
And So he wouldn't let me take that cage just for transport, or the little aquarium. So I was like, okay, well, let's fit it in this box. And we wrestled this scrub into this box.
Oh my
And
god.
I was just so like heartbroken for this thing. Like, I just couldn't believe that this guy would sit there, look at this like animal with a bloody face, and like he'd be like, yeah, we'll wave our hands over top of the screen
To
and
get it to bite some more.
yeah. And I was just like, dude, get this thing in my car and let me get out of here. Keep this cage.
For real.
And so I get about like 3/4 of the way home, and I look back and the snake is out of the box.
No.
Oh God.
And so I slam on the brakes and I pull over to the side, and this thing is just pissed off trying to work me, and I'm blocks away from my house still. So I like barely get this thing. I didn't get the lid shut. I held it in, like holding the head.
Yeah, you're driving with one hand.
Yeah. And so I get home, and I was living with my mom at the time, and I told her I was going to go pick up this new snake, and I show up and I'm pulling it out of the back of the car, and it's trying to bite, and it's peeing everywhere. And I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know how to work a big snake like that. I kind of made it work, but I got onto the internet and just started looking up scrub pythons because I thought this snake was super cool looking. Just the huge head scales and everything, even though it was all mangled, I could tell that was a cool snake under there. And so I found Morelia python forums, and that was like the thing that took my passion. Like I liked snakes, but I didn't realize how much certain people could love snakes and how big the whole thing could really be. And so, because I had seen like guys like Barchek and stuff on YouTube, like back when he had his huge breeding facility, and so I knew that kind of thing could happen, but I'd never seen some big snake collection like the dudes on Morelia python forums. And that was when so many heavy hitters were in there. Like that's when Yasser was producing scrubs, and you had David Means and Dave Prada. And so you had all these guys that were regularly producing stuff, like going back and forth and talking. And so you could absorb so much knowledge. And that's where I came across Evan Arumbull. And I actually was like coming to him for help. Like, hey, I got this scrub and I don't really know what I'm doing. Can you help me out? And he had like 30 of them. And so he's like, yeah, dude, come down here and we'll go herping. And first time I met him, he took me and we found some Lepidus clobberi. And,
hell yeah.
And we were, so any cool herping that I've ever done, any cool snake I've ever found is because of Evan. And that guy's immense knowledge. Like herping with him is such an amazing experience. He knows so much, and he can drive you straight to the habitat and walk straight to the freaking snake. It's crazy. Like he knows the stuff so well. And so yeah, we were finding like Willardi moms with babies, dude. And yeah, so we found a couple scenarios like that of Mama Willardi with babies, Lepidus babies, all the cool Montaigne stuff. I never found any twin spots with him. That's the Montaigne that evaded me. But yeah, so I just got to, I was taken under a dude's wing that I had no idea how much of a blessing this was going to be for me upon meeting this guy. But Evan taught me like a ton about scrubs and taught me really like the locality thing and how important that was and everything. And just really opened my eyes to what this hobby and industry could be. And because I was a kid with like a couple snakes in my bedroom, and then I moved down to live with him, and he had a 2-bedroom place, and we slept on the floor in the living room. There was 2 snake rooms that were filled with like 100 feet of scrub pythons.
The reptile dream.
Yeah, dude, it was. And all we did, we would wake up and go herping. We got lost and had to get helicoptered out in the mountains one time.
Oh man.
So that's a kind of cool story. I say cool. It was terrifying.
It was terrifying.
That's kind of cool. I may have.
It's cool now because you made it out.
Made it out, yeah. So we were looking for Willardi obscurus, and we went to I believe is the Palencios mountain range, and I think we were in like the New Mexico type side of it. That mountain range is really big. And so we got there super early, and that mountain range was hit by a fire several years prior that pushed the populations of Obscurus deep into basically wherever the fires didn't hit. And so we got there and we hiked like 6 hours into one direction and figured out like, hey, we're probably not going to get out of all these burnt trees. We were trying to hike until we didn't see any more burnt trees. And we turned around and started working our way back, and we had been leaving like markers for ourselves in a creek bed that we had been walking, and we got lost. And we started running out of water, and Evan started feeling really crappy. He's like, I got to sit down for a little bit. And like, we climbed up to this peak to get a view, and we just saw nothing but mountains for miles. And had no idea what direction to go. My cell phone had like 1 bar left. We were able to contact his mom, who contacted the sheriff's department, and they sent a helicopter for us. They're like, yeah, people die out there all the time. We're just going to send someone. And so, they came and picked us up, and we had like all these border patrol agents like show up and hop on the helicopter. Like, this is the coolest day of work we've ever had.
Oh my gosh.
They're all taking pictures from the helicopter and stuff. And yeah,
we don't have to hike out tonight.
They dropped us back at the truck, and they're like, okay, don't do that again. See ya. And just never billed us for anything.
Damn, you're so
lucky.
That's lucky.
Came and saved us. They were like, what's your name? I was like, TJay. Okay.
Nothing else. No more.
I'm
Right.
TJay.
I don't have a last name.
Yep. So
I left my last name in the woods. Don't worry about it.
Right. I'm dehydrated right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so my passion for like reptiles has gone back quite a ways. And herping was a huge thing for me, and that really helped ignite like deeper passion, and seeing stuff in the wild is really it changes the game for you.
Yes.
And so after that little experience of like living down there with Evan, I got an opportunity to play music again, and I grew up as a musician. And so I moved back to Phoenix and joined a band, or joined a couple bands actually, and just started doing that. And I sold off my collection just to focus. I felt like I had one opportunity to give music a shot. I didn't want to be 40 and be like, yo, I really wish I would have tried. And so I
literally feel that so hard right now.
Yeah. See, I used to work at Guitar Center, where all the time it'd be guys coming in after their kids had gone back to college, and they're like, yeah, I used to love playing drums. Sold my drum kit. Now I'm getting back into it. Wish I didn't lose all that time. Yeah. And because you don't really have to, like, you can keep your passions even when you have kids and stuff. But I don't know. I wanted to try to chase that music dream, and I chased it, I think, as far as I wanted to. I didn't like when I went on tour and stuff, I didn't sleep very good on tour.
Touring sucks, man.
And I like being at home with my wife and my dogs. And so when COVID hit, that's actually when I got back into keeping, because we weren't going to play music anymore. And I was like, I don't know how long I'd be stuck at home. I could get one snake.
Right.
And look at you now.
Oh, I know. I just went in super deep, and I didn't plan on it. And I breed rodents too. So I have like a pretty big rodent operation that I run. And so yeah, I had no idea it was going to happen. But scrub pythons, man, like, they just do that to you, where they ignite that passion, and it bit me hard. And now I kind of I'm content with being like, okay, I'm not going to be a rock star or whatever, but I can keep snakes and that'll kind of
fill that niche.
It'll fill that thing that I have to have something occupying my time. And I think it's a healthier thing for me, as opposed to just kind of playing drums all the time. Like, I don't know, especially when I play in heavier genres. I feel like there's just a lot of that genre of music is kind of thrived off of kind of like negativity and depression and stuff like that. And especially as a creative, like, to be creating that music, it almost helps to be in a negative headspace, because and it
Get that
wasn't
frustration out.
yeah, and it wasn't super healthy for me to thrive in a negative headspace. And I feel like when I got back into reptiles, it was something that I have to be in a positive headspace. Like and it's like that thing every single day. That's I'm just trying to do good by the animals, and that's an everyday thing you got to stay on top of. And if I'm doing good by the animals, it makes me feel much better. And so it's really a good thing for me. As far as keeping myself preoccupied and good for my mental sanity.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, dude.
Hell yeah, man. I think that we all come to this with, different backgrounds and different experiences. But I think that is one of the things that we all kind of share together, is that when you get to spend time with your animals, it just connects you to a deeper part of yourself, where you can really just take a look at the things that you appreciate, because you got these animals that you appreciate, and you're going, okay, I really love this animal right here. This thing is really just, it's stirring something deep inside of me. And it does kind of lend to that kind of positive. And, you do have your challenges, and, some days you get in and you're like, man, I don't know if I can clean 100 snakes today. I'm just not feeling it. But when you do, get that gumption up and you get in there and you start cleaning stuff, you go, man, I don't know what I was thinking. These things are freaking awesome. And I love them.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man, it's just,
and seeing the success of your hard work of seeing your animals are healthy and thriving and breeding for you, or just being able to have a collection that's running mostly issue free, that comes from your hard work. And that's something that you can sit back and be like, damn, I'm kicking ass at this, and it feels good. And it's hard. I didn't think I would get back in as deep as I am, but now it's like, man, how did I ever sell off all my snakes? How did I go? And so, but that's a mistake I won't make again, kind of thing, because I did it with drums too, and I gave up drumming for a long time to just keep snakes, and then I was like, wait, why am I doing this? I can just do both. I get in a one-track mind sometimes. Just do all the things that make you happy, and you'll probably be happy.
Yeah.
What? Right? Who would have thought?
Yeah. I'm looking at as after I end up moving, I really want to get more into keeping venomous stuff. And so I'm looking at what I've got time for, and I'll probably be changing my collection quite a bit, but I know that scrubs will be sticking around, and then expanding into venomous. But I think that, having that perspective of just looking at what makes you happy and what you've got time for and what fits into your life is super important.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We didn't even fucking talk about Apadora, man. What the fuck?
That just means we have to have a part 2. That's all.
Yeah, we could do a part 2.
Yeah, and we just barely touched on that Paradox albino, and that the rest of that clutch was cool as hell too.
Yeah, I've got some really cool stuff. I haven't so I guess something I could touch a little bit on one of my carpet clutches. My Xanthic zebra clutch to my Xanthic zebra het granite to Xanthic het granite, and I think I actually ended up with a dual sired multiple paternity clutch on that. So I hatched out a granite, which should have been an Xanthic granite, and it didn't have silver eyes, but I have zebras in the clutch, and I did pair a granite to the Xanthic het granite female early in the season because my zebra wasn't showing any interest. And so I think I ended up with 2 snakes from the clutch that don't have silver eyes. And apparently that's the tell of a homozygous Xanthic. And so I don't know if you guys have ever experienced multiple paternity or anything like that.
I've seen it a bunch, honestly. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm kind of happy it happened, and I'll explain why. Is my Xanthic het granites, the zebra and male and the female, they're clutch mates. And what we know about granites is there's a lot of inbreeding depression that affected them in the past. And so the cool thing is I got an outcrossed granite out of the clutch.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
that is 100% xanthic. And so the one granite, and there's a couple in there that people have told me they're unsure. I've showed a couple people. They're unsure if it's a zebra or a granite because some of the patterns can get kind of tricky.
Yeah, they get wavy in there. Yeah.
Yeah. So I need to figure out which ones are zebras and which ones are granites. But my full on one I'm 100% sure is a granite is not an xanthic. So yeah, I just thought that was really weird and kind of a cool thing.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, to be able to outcross and get the other things that I wanted, the xanthic
in
zebras.
The same clutch.
I know, right? So I thought it was cool. Some people might not be stoked on that, but I don't know. I thought it was interesting. Just another cool thing that snakes can do. Pop out paradoxes, 2 dads and 1 clutch. Breeding snakes is cool. Keeping snakes is cool. Snakes are cool.
I just got a message from somebody who was like, hey, I've had these short-tailed pythons for over a year and they both just laid eggs. And he's like, I got them as a pair. And they both just laid eggs. And I'm like, oh man, they retain sperm. And I was like, I know that they can retain sperm for at least a year. And he's like, well, I've had one for almost 2 years. And I'm like, I don't know if they can retain sperm for 2 years. I mean,
yeah, I wonder. Could have been a Partho clutch too.
That's what I was. Partho. That's the other thing I was saying. Yeah, is could be Partho. But I have seen, several different species where multiple males will sire a clutch. Yeah. Which is like, sometimes when I look at people who are doing ball python pairings, I'm like, if you use 2 or 3 different males and one of them's het for something, how do you know that was the right male that made the babies that you got there?
Well, Rob, now we just genetic test all of our kids. So
I mean,
the issue with the genetic testing is shown that a bunch of morphs are the same thing. And so like I was listening to a podcast that it's enhancer and DG genetically are the same thing.
Yeah,
and so
my heart.
Yeah, I know, right? So yeah, ball python guys, they're a whole different breed of snake keeper.
Yeah. So it's actually interesting that you had brought that one up because I had wondered for the longest time. So like we worked at Nerd, and Kevin's line of DG, the Nerd line of DG, is always like really stood out to me, and I've wondered if it differs, like if it's compatible with the Bell line, which is the predominantly kept line of DG that's in the US. And then when Enhancer started popping up in Canada, I was like, that looks oddly like the Nerd DG.
Right.
And I knew that Kevin sent a bunch of it up to Canada years ago, and I was like, I wonder if it's the same thing. From what I understand, it's not. Like they're not compatible. But anyway, I was like, huh, this is interesting. But yeah, it's literally the same freaking thing. It's just Enhancer is the DG for Canada.
Right. And I've heard the same thing with Monarch and Ultramel.
Don't say that. The people who have that have Monarch are gonna hurt you.
Here goes Zach and Miri.
I know there's a local guy here that has a Monarch, and he told me that the next time it sheds, he's going to give me a shed. And I talked to Ryan Young in the past about, he knows what a girl is doing at the genetic testing up there in his state. And he's like, if someone wants to send me a Monarch shed, I can finally just do this and figure out if it's the same thing or not. And this guy, local dude, is like, yeah, just don't put my name on it. Like, I don't want to be the guy that takes the project. I'll be the guy that takes the project. TJay fucked up Monarchs. Oh, I have a bunch of people at my door.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, no, they're just ball python keepers. They can't be that tough.
They can't be that tough.
If it was scrub keepers, man.
Yeah, right.
They don't even fight you. It's just their snakes. They just like let it scrub into your room, and you just all of a sudden you see a menacing shadow from the ceiling of your room. You're like, what the fuck is that? Oh no!
Wouldn't that be a sick like anime character that has scrubs like on the wrist, and they would just like hold their arms pretty dope. They'll just
giant teeth, just
right.
No
shit.
That'd be Rob as an anime character.
Facts.
I just have
Facts.
spiders crawling out of my ears. And
Oh yeah, you're the
scrubs for
spider
hands.
guy too.
Oh,
man, you'd be like the
man.
super animal guy. You'd have all kinds of shit going on.
It would just
God.
be really scary. They'd be like, "Oh, we're finally gonna get you. We've got your arms locked down." And the scrubs are just biting, and then the little spiders come out and run down my chest onto them.
Right, and the scrubs are peeing everywhere too.
It's just me. I'm just.
Rob's peeing. It's not me. It's the scrubs. I swear.
It's,
nah, Rob.
it's
I can see.
musk.
It's musk.
It's twice as bad.
Right.
It is twice as
Oh,
bad.
man. Yeah.
Although I have Jamaican boas.
No, those
And
are bad.
They're
Bad,
are
must-
bad,
yeah,
bad,
you just
bad.
look at them and they'll start oozing.
Oozing out. Yeah.
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 I
I've
got a
only
couple
gotten-
Amazons that are like that too. It's just like, just stop. I didn't even
Yeah.
touch you. Just shut up.
Jeremy, I have to send you a picture. I looked on iNaturalist at the range of Amazon tree boas, and there's multiple thousand sightings. So I'm about to do a deep dive on those over the next
spam
24
me.
hours to look
I've
at
got
some-
Amazon tree boas too. I really like those snakes.
Yes.
We didn't even talk about Amazon tree boas.
know.
So we're gonna
I-
have part 2, part 3, part 3.5.
I'm
I'm
sorry,
down.
I hijacked it to talk about scrubs this evening. Selfish.
That's
I'm
what
not
the
even
show's
mad
for.
about it. Yeah, I'm not even
It's a
mad
scrub
about
show.
it. Yeah. Yeah. Oh gosh.
Okay, well, all of that aside, we do have one closing question that we ask to every single person that we have on the show. And that question is whether it be something that you've got going on in your collection, something you've seen in someone else's collection, or in the vast expanse of the internet, what is something that has you excited about reptiles right now?
Ooh, there's a lot of things, but if I were to pinpoint one, I would say just the state of my collection, and it's nothing against anything else. It's just I got into keeping snakes again for me, and I had I kind of had doubts, and I had a lot of people also kind of like when you start buying snakes and you're buying expensive snakes, you get and you seem like I'm not a new keeper, but according to the internet, I look like a very new keeper. I kind of was almost looked at as like a newbie coming in and spending a lot of money on carpet pythons and stuff. And I was a little discouraged when the big breeders would talk to me. And especially I had guys about the Darwins, like they were talking like, hey, they're hard to breed. I was like, damn, well, that sucks. I just spent a good amount of money on them. Hopefully I'll figure it out. And then I got the clutch, and the same guys were like, yeah, good luck getting them to eat. And then they all ate, and then they don't talk to me. And so it's like there's a lot of discouragement and stuff and a lot of negativity in the hobby. And to be able to sit back and look at my collection and be like, I am stoked right now. Everything.
Hell yeah.
I'm happy. I don't have any desires to acquire any more animals. Like if I had just
That
what I
can't
have
be
here,
real.
I know, right? I'm getting a little pressed for space. I'm in the process of building a new snake building in my backyard. So until that's done, my reptiles are filling up the house, and so I really got to pump the brakes on acquisitions. But I honestly don't need any more. I'm really happy with everything I've got right now, and I'm just stoked to be where I'm at. Where I didn't think I would be able to produce carpets and stuff like that, and I'm doing it, and I'm having some success kind of out of the Apadora, and that feels good. And so I just can't really complain about how my keeping experience is going right now. And for me, it's going smooth, and I'm trying to just kind of tune out any like negativity in the hobby, other than things that I feel I need to stand up about, like any of the US ARC stuff. I'll get vocal about that kind of stuff. But as far as like drama within different keepers, like that type of, I really can't stand that. This is so the opposite type of hobby for that type of mindset. We have a lot of old schoolers that are still kind of in the mix that bring that like secretive negativity type of thing. There's a lot of, and so I'm just learning to find the niche of guys that I enjoy talking with and sticking with that, blocking out all the negativity.
Hell yeah, that is where it is fucking at, man, because I'm so sick of all these old dudes being like, you never fucking gonna do goddamn anything. And it's like, how are you gonna expect people to want to keep working with reptiles if you're just a dick to them constantly?
Right. Are they the same guys that are giving you shit about being too woke?
Some of them. I'm not gonna say who. I'm not gonna say who. But yeah, I mean,
how dare you
like,
stand up against racism and homophobia, Rob? How dare you?
For real. I'm just like, are you sure that's what are you saying what I'm thinking you're saying right now? It's what's, you know what? Maybe I don't want to know the answer to that question.
You probably don't.
I probably don't, because
Right.
the more that I find out about certain people, I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense that you're racist. It's really disappointing. It's really fucking disappointing.
Yeah, it's shitty, and it seems like it's that old school mentality of keepers that is really I can't even say it.
Perpetuating.
Yeah, it's perpetuating that, and but luckily those guys are luckily pretty much out of the game, hopefully. And I can't imagine that the new keepers are seeing that and being like, yeah, I totally support what that guy's saying. Yeah. If so, like, you're gonna have a short life in this. This is such a it's a very diverse industry now. It's not just a bunch of white biker dudes.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah. And it's what the industry needs, is a diverse community of people, because that's how you're going to get the best results in this. I think we need people with different ways of thinking. And I don't know, I think every industry, like, imagine if you just had music made by white people.
No,
let's not do that. Let's
don't
not
do that.
Yeah.
No.
Like any industry, you can mix it up.
Yeah. No, we don't. I see enough people clapping on the 1 and 3 to know that's a bad idea.
That's
no,
what
stop.
Oh God,
bruh.
Yeah.
Well,
on that note,
yeah, tonight's episode was brought to you by Black Box Cages. Make sure that you check them out. Oh, you got the Black Box Cage shirt. You're rocking it. Man.
I do. I have one for you too, Rob. I'll bring it to you on the 17th.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was down there last week, and was it last week? Yeah, it was last week. I don't know what the hell day it is. Jesus. No, I was down there last week talking with and the week before talking with Jen and Clint about some of the stuff that they've got going on. And our next episode, which is going to be Friday, we're going to talk about a lot of those advancements that they've been doing. They've really been pushing the envelope and trying out a lot of new things to really advance husbandry, both in cages and in racks. So I'm super excited to talk more about Black Box Cages on that next episode.
Dude,
hell yeah.
TJ, thank you so much for coming on tonight, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
I'm for real though. Like, we're gonna schedule a part 2 for like like really soon, because we didn't talk about Apadora, we didn't talk about carpet pythons really. So I'm serious. I'm gonna message you as soon as we're done to be like, hey, we need to do a part 2.
Yeah, let's figure it out.
Yeah, I'm down. Let's do it.
Because this has been a great conversation, and I feel like we're just opening up Pandora's box.
Absolutely. And I want to hear more of your singing.
Well, maybe we'll do something that I can do.
Oh,
in
God.
my key. Listen, Jeremy. Okay.
Jeremy, let him do it. Let him have his fun.
Let me have my off-key fun. Damn it.
Okay. All right. I'll cue the karaoke background.
There we go.
There we go.
Perfect.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Much better. Much better. All right. If people want to follow you and find out more about the things that you're doing, or see pictures of some of the awesome animals that you work with, where should they follow you?
Instagram is pretty much the only place I really post a lot. So Chambers Serpents on Instagram, and yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on, man. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, guys. This was fun.
Stick around and we'll dip out of the episode.
All right.
Catch you guys next time.